There's so much stuff that you need as a horse rider, and that's even without owning a horse. It's Mel here, and welcome back to Mel's Blind Life, the YouTube channel all about blindness. And of course, welcome back to another equestrian video. I know you guys love these, so welcome to this one. Obviously, the big girl isn't in this video today. I'm at home filming this video, and I want to talk to you about some of the basic horse riding equipment that you're going to need as a beginner. I'm going to talk about the stuff that you need as a beginner rider, as a student at a riding school. And I'm also going to talk about some of the basic stuff that you need for looking after your horse day to day. There's so much stuff that you need as a horse rider, and that's even without owning a horse. And that stuff that we need as a rider at a riding school is what we're going to talk about first. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go out and buy all of this stuff before you even take your first riding lesson, but it is stuff that you should get when you know 100% that you're going to continue riding. So maybe after your second or third lesson. So the first thing, and the most important, one of the two most important things, is a good riding helmet. This is my riding helmet that I've had for quite a while now. It's just a black riding helmet. I think it's a Dublin helmet. It's very important that whatever helmet you buy for yourself is safety approved. It has all the correct safety assessments and everything like that, and you can find out whether it's approved by reading the tag in the helmet. As you can see, this helmet has a sun visor, so that might be good for someone who has no or low vision to get the sun out of your eyes. It doesn't really matter for me about having the peak on my helmet because I can't see anything at all. But if you have low vision, you might want to consider getting something that has a peak that might block some of the sun from coming into your eyes when you're riding. This helmet has just a normal clip that does up like so, and it is also adjustable, and it also has this padded velcro bit around the chin strap just to make it a bit more comfortable to wear around your chin, and it also is velveted on the top and on the inside as well. Now, the reason why I suggest you get your own helmet is because you might decide to go trail riding or something like that. You might go riding at a different property that they don't have helmets. Also, I personally love to have my own helmet when I go riding because at a riding school, you don't know who has been wearing those helmets and how often they clean the helmets and all of that sort of stuff. So personally, I highly recommend that you have your own helmet even when you're just riding at a riding school and you're not riding your own horse, because obviously, like I said, you don't know who's been wearing that helmet and how often they get cleaned. You also want to have a helmet that is comfortable for your head and your head alone, that you don't have to spend 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning of every lesson trying to make the helmet comfortable and adjust it to your head size. So that is the first thing that you should have as a horse rider when you're riding at a riding school, is your own riding helmet. Next thing, and I'm going to apologize that these aren't exactly spick and span anymore, is your own boots. These are my riding boots. As you can see, they're quite well loved. These are a pair of Dublin riding boots. I've had them for quite a while. The reason why you want your own riding boots is because riding boots have this heel which stops you from having your foot slip through the stirrup. They also have a closed in hard toe which stops you from getting hurt when the horse accidentally steps on you, and they protect your ankles a little bit as well. Riding boots are an essential thing. I think that you should have them right from the start. Same day you buy your helmet, go and get a pair of riding boots. Never ride in runners or sneakers, and absolutely never go anywhere near a horse in shoes that are not closed in, say for example sandals, because that is just asking for a horse to step on your toe and break it. I have had that happen. Trust me, it hurts. And I was wearing these that day. So trust me, you don't want a horse standing on you in just thongs. So second thing I suggest you buy as a horse rider is your own riding boots. Make sure that they are, once again, safety approved, and that you get them from a reputable horse equipment store. And the third and final thing that I highly recommend you get, and this one is an optional thing as well, is a pair of riding gloves. These are my gloves. I've had these ones for quite a while. They actually smell like horse wormer because they've been in the bottom of my bag with my horse wormers. So these are just a nice pair of riding gloves. I think they're black. I can't remember. Probably black. They've got, if I put it on, you'll be able to see a bit better. You can see they've got like a grip thing here on the fingers and the palm, and they've just got a normal flat material back of the glove. They've got an elastic wrist that does up with Velcro there, and these are really good, especially if you are working with rope, lunging horses, you have rope reins, or you have you're doing a lot of lead work, so you're using a lead rope, stuff like that. I don't tend to use riding gloves when I'm actually riding my horse, or any horse, because for me, one of the things is that I always like to do a tack check just before I get on my horse, and I like to be able to do it while I'm riding. And because I cannot see at all with the gloves on my hand, it does make it more difficult for me to adjust tack, check the length of my stirrups, stuff like that. And I don't want to muck around putting gloves on and off. And also I don't have a problem with the texture of the rein in my hand. Usually I have leather reins. I don't have rope reins or anything like that. So I much prefer to ride with just my bare hands. But I do use these when I'm doing things like lunging or a lot of lead work and stuff like that, as I said. So riding gloves really is your choice. As I said, I don't really personally recommend them for someone who is blind or has low vision, just because it makes it easier for you to be able to feel what you're doing, checking your girth, checking your stirrups and stuff like that. And also, I just find it really uncomfortable to be riding wearing gloves. I've tried it. I really only do it if it's quite cold outside and I just want to keep my hands a little bit warmer. But that is really the final thing that I suggest for a beginner rider riding at a stable that doesn't have your own horse, is a pair of riding gloves. So now we're going to talk about some of the stuff that you need for basic horse care. Now, this stuff is stuff that you possibly might need to buy before you actually get your horse. And some of it is stuff that you can get afterwards. But there are a couple of things on this list that I highly recommend you get when you first start shopping for a horse. especially because you don't know what that horse is going to come with, and you want to be prepared so that when you find the right horse, you're ready to go with the basic equipment to look after him or her. So the first basic thing, and I'm going to say this is probably quite obvious, is a halter and a lead rope. This halter here is actually a brand new halter. I've never used it before. It's just a spare webbing halter. It is obviously a horse size because Maggie is a standard bred mare, so it's a horse size halter. When you're looking for a horse and you decide to buy something like a halter, don't buy a halter until you know what kind of horse you want to get. So if you want to have a stock horse, standard bred horse, thoroughbred horse, something like that, then get a standard horse halter, because halters do come in different sizes. There's pony, there's cob, there's normal horse size, and obviously there's foal size as well. So just be mindful of what size halter you buy when you decide what kind of horse you're going to get. And obviously to go with your halter, you're going to want a lead rope. This is just my everyday plain old lead rope. Just has a clip here that snaps to the halter. You want to make sure that you have one of these because the first thing that you're probably going to want to do is lead your horse somewhere. So it's very important to have one of these lying around. Easy to find, easy to grab. Now, pro tip for anyone who is a blind or vision impaired rider, personally, I would suggest that you discuss with your riding instructor at your stable, even if you don't have your own horse there. If it's a horse that you ride all the time, I would actually suggest that you have your own halter, lead rope and grooming kit, or that the horse's halter, lead rope, grooming kit that you use all the time is identifiable to you with braille or a color or something like that you can see it. When I was riding at my last stable, I did actually have a grooming kit that I used and took home with me every single time that I went riding, because they didn't keep their tack room very well organized and it was just so difficult. I couldn't find any of my gear, so my instructor allowed me to have my own lead rope and my own grooming kit so that I could find it and maintain it myself. So that actually brings me on to the next essential piece of equipment, which, surprise, surprise, is a grooming kit. So basically you don't need to have the whole thing. It's not essential to have the whole entire grooming kit with all of the sweat scraper and all of that when you're getting started. When you're getting started, the basic things you're going to want are a hard bristle brush, a mane and tail brush, a curry comb, and a hoof pick, which is buried in the bottom of my grooming bag, and a hoof pick. They are really the basic things that you're going to want to look after the horse from day to day. You don't, as I said, have to buy a complete grooming kit straight away. You can save up your money and just buy the essential things one at a time. You can probably get the essential things, hoof pick for $4 or $5, a hard brush for about the same price, all of that stuff for sort of $4 or $5 at a good horse store, or even at a pet store in the country. You're going to want these obviously grooming is a good way of bonding with your horse. It's also very good to groom your horse and keep it clean. And obviously picking out its hooves and maintaining its hooves every single day is important and essential to its health and well-being. So a grooming kit, or at least the essential brushes, is really, really important, I think, to have before you get your horse. And the final thing that I highly recommend you get before you get your horse, or while you're looking for a horse, is a few feeding buckets. Now this is just a really shallow feeding bucket. It's not a very big one. It's enough to hold a small amount of food in it. You're probably going to want to have it just as somewhere to keep your stuff, if not for actually feeding your horse out of. You can get feeding buckets in all kinds of different sizes and shapes and styles and everything like that. This one's just a plastic, I think it's either orange or red. This is just a plastic round one. As I said, it's quite shallow. It's got a handle on either side. It's pretty boring, but it's enough to throw a hard feed in and take it to the feeding area and put it in their feeding trough or feeding bucket or whatever they have. It's just a good thing to have, to be able to have somewhere to put some hay or some chaff or whatever like that in to feed your horse. I don't, as I said, recommend that you go out and get lots of stuff like that. I definitely do not recommend a beginner rider getting anything like a bridle or a saddle, or even a lunging roll or a lunging rein or anything like that. All of that kind of stuff, all of that kind of tack you can get later. You can get that when you get your own horse. You never know, the horse that you get may come with all of its tack. Just depends on what happens. So I don't recommend that you get all of that stuff, like I said. I have heard of people who they go to their first riding lesson and they've bought a bridle and a saddle and grooming equipment and, you know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of stuff, and that's just not right. So please, if you are going to start riding at a riding stable, just have your own boots and helmet, and then as you go, just acquire stuff slowly as you go. I will do for you guys a tack haul of all of the tack and horse equipment that I own one day soon, but that's just the basics of stuff that I suggest you have. If you've got any comments or questions, anything you'd like to know, please put them in the comment section down below. I will be doing an equestrian Q&A next week, so please submit more questions for that one. I've already got about 5 or 6 questions for that, so if you have any more questions, please let me know in the comment section down below. And thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys.